and to administer the works that are owned by the authors, composers, and publishers of music. And the same act makes it an offense for any entity, any broadcasting station, any individual to consume or to exploit musical works publicly without authority from the copyright owner. So it means if a church wants to exploit musical works that belongs to the artist, they're supposed to comply with the provisions of the Copyright and Neighboring Rights Act, Chapter 26.05. And if a bar wants to play musical works that belongs to the authors of music, they need to be authorized. How do we authorize them? By giving them a license that grants them permission to play musical works for a particular period of time. They would have complied with the copyright law of Zimbabwe. So if they exploit such musical works without a license from the Zimbabwe Music Rights, they will be infringing the Copyright Act. Right? So what are we saying? We're saying Zimbabwe Music Rights licenses all broadcasting stations, bars, restaurants, hospitals, which plays music publicly, so that they pay for a license, right? And if we collect those monies, those are the monies that we distribute to authors, composers of music. So, as the Zimbabwe Music Rights Licensing Department, we do have licenses inspectors in our country's 10 provinces. That is, we have an office, that is an head office in Harare. Then we also have an office in Bulawayo that covers the Bulawayo Metropolitan Province, Mat North, and Mat South. We also have an office in Mutare that covers the whole of Manicaland Province. We also have an office in Gweru that covers the Midlands and the Masvingo Province. We then have some satellite offices, representatives in Marsh East, Marsh West, and Marsh Central. So we are represented in all the 10 provinces. So all the bars, all the music users in those particular provinces has to comply with the provisions of the copyright law and acquire a license that grants them permission to exploit musical works publicly. We have a licensing procedure that we do. We visit the music users, educate them of the need to comply with the provisions of the Copyright and Neighboring Rights Act and acquire the license that permits them to play music publicly. If they don't, because the Act stipulates or gives them 7 days to comply, what we do, if we visit them, we then issue an invoice, issue a notice at the same time, then they're given 7 days to comply. If they do not comply with the stipulated time, we then engage the services of the police officers for joint operations, bringing to book all the copyright infringers who didn't comply with the copyright law within the stipulated time, so that they may fine them. If they choose to go to court, they prepare the dockets so that we represent our members, the authors, composers of music in the court of law. Right? Okay, so the question can be, how do I represent the musicians? These musicians, if they register to Zimbabwe Music Rights, they fill in what is known as the deed of assignment, giving the rights to ZIMURA for them to be protected. So once, if we visit a music user, I'll be representing all the musicians. I'll be Albert Nyati, I'll be Majaho Donlovu, that is James Marabini. I'll also be representing, I'll be Jah Praiser. So they will be seeing all those musicians in me. I'll be also representing even those overseas musicians, due to the fact that as Zimbabwe, as a country, we are also a signatory to a treaty that is called Berne Convention, which provides for equal treatment of each and every author. So if you play Zahara's music in Zimbabwe, you need to pay a license to Zimbabwe music rights for you to comply with the provisions of the copyright law. If you play American music in Zimbabwe, you also need a copyright license from the Zimbabwe music rights. Okay? So you must pay me fees. I'm educating you, I'm telling you this information for your benefit. So if your musical works gets exploited in other countries as well, they license in those particular countries and send royalties here in Zimbabwe. So here in Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe music rights. Go to South Africa, there's ZIMURA. Go to Botswana, there's Cosports. Go to Zambia, there's ZAMCOPS. UK, there's PRS. In America, there's ASCAP. So we are one and the same thing. That is why the Minister of Information, when this former minister, Jonathan Moy, was a minister, he introduced 75% local content. I think we all remember. This is to stop exporting money to other countries, because if we play 100% of foreign music, it means we need to pay them. So the 75% is meant to benefit our local authors and composers, so that if the broadcasting stations exploit 75%, it means all the 75% of our collections will benefit you, the local authors and composers. So we collect for musicians in other countries, in other territories as well. And ourselves as collecting societies or collective management organizations, we also sign what are known as reciprocal agreements. So if my inspectors, if us as the licensing department visits a bar, it doesn't matter if they are playing local music, regional music, or international music. I will be Michael Jackson at that particular time. I will be Nyati at that particular time. I'll be representing Jabres at that particular time. So by getting a single blanket license for the Zimbabwe music rights, we now have authority to exploit musical work that belongs to any of the authors, either local or regional or even international artists. How do we carry out our licensing? We do have our licensing tariff that is reviewed on yearly basis. This tariff gets approved by the Ministry of Justice, that is our parent ministry, and that is the tariff that we use to charge every music user. So the music users will be in different categories. There's a tariff for a bar, which comprised of minimum charges, tariff for a boutique, for a flea market, for a hotel. So what we do is, if we visit a bar, there's a minimum charge for an annual license, that is $300 for the year. But if the bar is bigger than what the minimum charge stipulates, we take into cognizance the seating capacities, we take into cognizance the square area that is occupied by that particular bar. Imagine if this is maybe an auditorium at a hotel, right? This is big, but there are also some other auditoriums which are smaller in sizes. So we cannot charge the same license fee for a smaller auditorium and also the same license fee for a bigger auditorium. We take into cognizance the seating capacities so that we arrive at a license fee payable by that particular client. So if we're licensing a hotel, our tariff stipulates that the minimum charge for a hotel is $1,000 for a year. That is the starting point. But the hotels are also different in sizes. If we go to Gwanda Mishi's hotel, it's different from the other hotels like the Rainbow Hotel or from the Elephant Hills Hotel. They're different in sizes. So we're not supposed to charge the same amounts. We take into cognizance the number of rooms in that particular hotel, seating capacities in their restaurants, square meters in their conference rooms, so that we arrive at a license fee Am I clear? Okay. And some may say that maybe $1,000 it's too much for a license fee. Okay. Let's take into cognizance this fact. How many songs can a hotel play in a day? How many? Somebody to guess. Or how many songs can a bar play in a day? Hello? Yes, my brother. 40 songs in a day, right? Then in a week, we say 40 times what? Okay. Then if we get an answer, we then multiply by 4 to get the monthly plays, right? And we also multiply by 12 to get a yearly playlist using intellectual property that belongs to different authors and composers, Zimbabweans, those from the region, and the international. So how many songs can a bar play? Remember, this is intellectual property. Somebody has labored in mind coming up with the piece of that particular work. So we are saying that this is a property like a bicycle, like a car. So if a bar uses so many songs and all those authors and composers needs a piece from that license fee, how much are we supposed to charge? Maybe that 300 that we charge for a bar is too little to be shared by all the musicians worldwide. So that is basically what we do. If our licensing, if our licensing inspectors are moving around the shopping centers, if we visit the broadcasting stations so that they comply with the provisions of the copyright law, is to benefit the authors and the composers of music. And this marks the end of my presentation.